Hey kid, come here. You look like a sore thumb out there. Look like you've never had a drink before. Here, let me get you something. Barkeep, give me a glass of milk. So, you're out here looking for love in all the wrong places, aren't you? No need to say. The answer's as clear as day. You don't need to wear that much axe, you know? You best be careful, though. Someone like you in a place like this might get in a lot of trouble. Me? Well, I'm a drifter. A tough, no-nonsense kind of guy. The kind of guy that every man wants to be and every woman wants to be with. But enough about me. A lot of people here are no good for you. Must be confusing. 1 minute Volcasaurus is giving you the look from across the bar. Next minute Illuminite's tearing it up on karaoke. And Goldrat? Well, we don't talk about Goldrat. Just stick close, kid. I'll make sure you don't end up leaving heartbroken. I'll give you the rundown, the lay of the land, give it to you straight. Who knows? You might even find your next love here. Now drink your milk. Don't want it to get warm.
Okay, so if you've made it past the title of this video and the little intro that I made, you're in it for the long haul, so welcome. Today we'll be rating the number monsters based on how dateable they are. I wanted to make this video because I've always liked the number monsters for how varied their designs are, and I wanted to categorize them in a tier list of sorts. And I guess this is what I came up with. In this list I'll be taking into account both the monster's design and effect when determining how dateable they are, because it's not about what's on the outside that matters, it's about what effect you get when you detach overlay units. In order to make my life a little easier, I won't be including chaos variants or all the different utopias, and finally there are a few numbers that aren't really things that I'm comfortable with dating, so let's just plow through them right now. Numbers 1 through 4, you can't date a gate, much less a portion of a gate. Embodiments of crime and punishment, just sort of floating things, and on top of that they like to play with chains. No! Heraldic Patriarch, Shoji Rook, and Heart Earth are not even things that you can describe, they're at best collections of shapes. Number Archive is not a monster, it is a location. Dyson Sphere, Galaxy Tomahawk, Machu Mech, Chateau Hyuk, and Sky Prison are all either spaceships or, sky prisons. A living prison would just have a lot of baggage, if these walls could talk, more like if these walls could shut up! Winning the coveted wooden spoon is Gold Rat. This thing is an absolute hot mess. First off, he's incredibly high maintenance, with those 3 level 1 monsters required for its summon, needing you to shuffle a card into the deck in order to draw a card, and his attack and defense being awful. This guy harasses girls at anime speed dating, avoid at all costs. After him is Baguska, the terribly tired tapir. This guy is a project, and it's not one you can fix. He's too far gone. He's a drunk, he stinks, and he sleeps all the time. And with his effect to switch you to defense mode, he'll drag you down to his level. Go on a date with him and you'll wake up in a White Claw and Dorito dust haze the next day that you will definitely regret. Next up is Bamboozling Gossip Shadow, and this thing is totally toxic. If you want a boyfriend who will treat you like complete garbage, spit on you, and use you as the subject for a very cruel prank YouTube channel, this is your man. His ex, Heroic Champion Rangaminiad, will tell you all about it. Plus, he's literally got gossip in the name. After that is Mannequin Cat, and I imagine this thing's kind of like one of those real dolls, and they creep me out, so no. Also, I'm not into lollies. Up next is Crazy Box, and he's literally a hot mess. This thing will want tender loving care 1 minute, demand to go out to dinner the next, break up with you on the car ride home, and destroy itself because you rolled a 6. There's someone who can rein this fella in, but it's not you. Next is Heartland Drago, and you can kind of see what I was talking about with Mannequin Cat, but it's a little more debatable since this is a dragon, but it kind of feels like I would be having sex with Strawberry Shortcake. It just feels wrong. Next is Manipulator of Souls, and if there's one thing I don't want in a significant other, it's requiring 3 level 2 monsters in order to summon. But it's also someone who brands themselves as a manipulator. Manipulator of Souls is the type of person that makes friend groups turn on each other by spreading rumors about private group chats before outing those group chats to the people not included to make himself feel superior. Next up is Acid Golem, and I mean it's literally a monster with no positive effects. I can't think of a single reason you'd want to date Acid Golem, except to set him up with a person you really hate so you watch Acid Golem ruin their lives. At that point though, who's the real monster? After that is Galaxy Eye's Dark Matter Dragon, and this one hurts, because between this and one of the top rated monsters, Dark Matter is my favorite number monster. But with that being said, I can't imagine dating it. First off, any of the alone time that the two of you would have to be shared by the several shrieking souls of agony that followed around at all times. And 2, it's currently doing hard time, so you're going to be having a prison pen pal with benefits instead of a partner. Next is Thunderspark Dragon, and this is one ugly son of a gun. The best thing you could say about him is that he's very eel-like. Not to mention his best effect requires 5 overlay units, when he can only have 3 max for his original summon. This is the type of guy that buys a PS5 when he can't afford a PS3. Next up is Dark Mist, and this guy is solo not just for his cheesy attacking effect, but also the baggage that he carries from the anime, where he's the goth GX era counterpart to Astral. Plus, where would you even kiss this thing? It doesn't even look like it can close its mouth. Next up is Samoji Soldier. This guy suffers not only from his low attack value, but by being a disloyal punk. This guy's effect benefits all players, including the opponent when they're activated. He's just as willing to flake on you for somebody else the second they catch his eye. He's a hussy! After Samoji Soldier is Shadow Lich, and you may be thinking, what's wrong with this Grim Reaper fella? Pretty sick cloak, nice number scythe, is a skeleton, what's the matter? The matter is that every single one of his effects is based on a token he creates upon summon. This guy is dependent, and in a hardcore way. He won't be able to function without you. Next up is Force Focus, and don't weep for him, he's just lucky he didn't get put into just a thing category with the other ones. I don't want a relationship where I feel like my partner is breathing down my neck, and Force Focus is exactly that on account of the fact that he's made of cameras. This guy will know your every move, even when you think he's not watching. After him is the Shockmaster. Another monster doing hard time, Shockmaster is a hardened criminal, being in the slammer for the better part of half a decade. Let's say that you and Shocker managed to hook up, however. Now you're dealing with the most annoying type of person in the world. Shockmaster doesn't have any ideas of his own, he just knows that he hates your ideas. You want to go to Outback Steakhouse?
I don't like Australian.
Okay, how about Friendly's?
I hate ice cream.
Well, how about the pizza joint in the center of town?
I don't like that place.
Then what do you like, Shockmaster? You're making this so hard! Next up is Big Eye, and I know I'm making a controversial statement, but I have to tell the truth. I've done a lot of soul searching, and I'm telling you right now, he would make a terrible partner. First off, either Big Eye is going to be one of those partners that makes you feel safe and secure, like you always got someone looking out for you, or is going to be like a watchdog that doesn't let you have any secrets. I'm not talking about cheating either. I mean whether you wipe sitting down or standing up. Second off, his other effect allows him to take control of your opponent's monsters. That's possessive and not cool, Big Eye. After him is Gimmick Puppet Giant Grinder. Gimmick puppets are tricky because there's certainly a subset of people who have their kinks fulfilled entirely by the gimmick puppets. Do I ever want to meet these people? Well, of course, I just request that bulletproof glass be installed before I get there. But back to Giant Grinder. There's a lot to take in here. First off, he's got a giant gaping hole in his chest, but maybe he was just hurt before, so I can't judge him for that. I will judge him for being on railroad tracks, though. He's very one-track mind kind of guy. He'll take you into a BDSM club for your first date and it'll be really exciting, but then he'll keep taking you to that club for every subsequent date and it will get less and less exciting each time. He seems to have a second smaller puppet on his head, which is fun, but he's got a forklift for a penis, and I'm gonna give that a hard pass. After that is Djinn Buster, and I got great news for you if you like things that are phenomenally boring. Djinn Buster is jumping into light fierce. Stale bread. Water without any ice. The latest season of The Simpsons. And dirt. See you in Master Rule 5, everybody. He's not going to show you a bad time, but he also won't show you anything worth coming back for. After that is Star Seraph Sentry, and I don't know what to write here. It's just a long yellow stick guy. I mean, what's supposed to be attractive here? I'm trying to write these so it's not just, oh, look at how ugly they are, but God, he's not making it easy. After him is Lucky Straight, and you know what I said about Crazy Box? Well, imagine if Crazy Box was able to wrap up all that explosive random behavior into a much more twink-like body. This guy looks like a single kick to his Xavier Renegade Angel legs would kill him. But as for his dateability, I just can't imagine a situation in which randomness is hot. Sure, it might be exciting to not know what restaurant you're going to, but is it as exciting when you don't know what house Lucky Straight's going to drop you off at? After him is Paradise Smasher. In the real game, I love luck-based effects. In a relationship, not so much. He's a little better off than the other luck-based monsters, but he has his own problems. First off, he has a big disgusting mascot face. Second off, he can't read because he seems to think that a dice roll could ever possibly land on a 7. And third, there's a big brain in his hammer, and I don't want to know if it watches if things get intimate. After him is Giant Hand, and I mean, who would ever want somebody that's so handsy?
I am neither proud nor sorry.
Next is Crumble Logos, the Prophet of Demolition, and oh my god, I wish a monster with a name that sick was more dateable, but this guy's awful. I could imagine Crumble Logos as being the type of boyfriend who's way too into religion. He will take you to church on his giant evil horseback every Sunday. If you do anything that could be considered even possibly sinful, he'll give you a dirty look over it. Even if it's something like taking a parking spot from someone who couldn't get there because they're too far away. Come on, Crumble Logos, you're a horseman, what do you care? After Crumble Logos is Tri-Headed Dust Dragon. There's a lot to question here with Dust Dragon. First off, he's made of dust, so there's not a lot of ways to touch a dust person. Second off, he's made of dust. Imagine cleaning up a dragon's worth of dust from your room. Finally, he's got 3 heads worth of dragon, all of which are made of dust. That's 3 opinions on things that you might not agree with. After that is Nightmare Shark, and I've been trying really hard not to say I don't like a monster's design, but look at this guy. Nightmare is the exact word to use to describe this ugly son of a gun. After him is Burning Visor, and it now shows off an effect that I find really attractive in a monster. Burning Visor can equip itself to another monster in order for it to get more attack. This guy is a supporter. He'll always have your back. Unfortunately, he's a big ugly fireball, so cuddles are going to be a little hard. After him is Shark Drake, and Shark Drake is for a very specific group of person. If you want a boyfriend that is aggressive and takes no nonsense, Shark Drake is all yours. Shark Drake will not hesitate to tell you what's on his mind, and is even less likely to not act on that impulse. Let me put it like this. Shark Drake is one of the number monsters most likely to wear a leather jacket and think it looks cool, but he's on the lower end of the spectrum of monsters that can actually make it work. Next up is the first duos, Tarantula's Ravenous and Pain Gainer. I'm lumping these two together on account of the fact that they're essentially the same monster with a different coat of paint and a quick flip. I'll put Ravenous above Pain Gainer, however, since I don't really want to date someone with anything to gain from my discomfort. If you're one of those people who's into tarantulas as pets, maybe you could try them out as partners and finally come back to the world of normalcy. Next up are 2 controversial picks, starting off with Utopic Dragon. This guy needs a lot of setup to be used right. You need a rank up magic and a Utopia to make him summonable. Imagine you had a boyfriend who was only ever in the mood after playing a specific Lionel Richie song, and only that Lionel Richie song. And his effect works best if you have other number monsters. He's the type of guy who never wants to hang out alone. He just wants to hang out with the whole group. And I'm just saying, maybe Utopic Dragon, a little alone time is what it's gonna need to save this relationship. After him is Numeron Dragon. Let's see, gains attack based on the rank of all the other monsters on the field, floats into a set spell or trap from the grave, and lets your opponent do the same. Already piss poor, but it can only special summon itself from the graveyard when you have absolutely no cards? This guy will only check up on you when you start posting, "Going offline, no DMs, only real ones now." I don't care if he's the god of the numbers, he's a bad boyfriend. After that is Illuminite, and Illuminite might seem a little rough on the outside, but there's a little more to him than a scary monster face. First off, he can detach a material in order to draw and discard. It's give and take with Illuminite, and that's what a good relationship needs. Not to mention, he has a horse, and who doesn't want someone who's good with animals? The only problem is I've never seen him off the horse, so that might just need to be something you learn to live with. Next up is a heavy hitter, Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy. An absolutely gigantic and beautiful dragon in cool armor. Try not feeling protected around this thing. What's the issue then? Well, it chooses the attack targets and takes spells that it negates. Hope Harbinger feels like a very controlling presence, and some people like that in a partner, but I don't trust Hope Harbinger to not steal my wallet if my schedule conflicts with date plans. After that is Sky Pegasus, and Pegasuses just seem to have a certain aspect about them that I'd say is desirable. And that certainly goes for Sky Pegasus. So why is he so low then? Easy. The opponent can choose to negate his effect. This guy has no backbone. You could wipe your shoes on him and he wouldn't say anything. And maybe you want to be his emotional backbone, but at the same time, who's gonna be there to support you? After that is Gigabrilliant. The biggest factor working against Gigabrilliant is the fact that it's a giant terrifying bug. But its effect increases all your monster's attacks. This monster gels well with any friend group, which is key for a good relationship. At first, they might be hesitant because of the giant, mandibles, but then your friends find out that you and Gigabrilliant and all of them have the same favorite songs on karaoke, and suddenly everyone's okay with you dating a giant pink and white bug. Next up is Diablos the Mind Hacker. Now, I, for one, am fine with a giant psychic data demon as a partner, but it's everything surrounding him that drags him down a little bit. First off, he's probably really good at guessing your Facebook password, and will use that to his advantage. Second off, he costs like $80 since he's a prize card. He comes from money. Do you think you have what it takes to satisfy his high society tastes? I doubt it. Next up is Spaceway Octo Bypass, and here we have another giving monster. Octo Bypass allows you to attack your opponent directly, which is something that I look for in a partner. The only downside is that he only lets you attack with one monster that turn. This guy makes sure that you're having a good time, but everyone else is just kind of having an okay time because you and Octo won't talk to anybody else. After him is Leviathan Dragon, who's, I think, the first number monster ever revealed, so he's got a little prestige. And there's something to be said for a monster who can increase its own attack. This monster's a gym freak and eager to show off to you its gains as well. The only problem is how he can only do it a certain amount of times. So once he has you hooked in, I imagine it won't take much for him to never use that gym membership again. He only ever worked out the glamour muscles anyway. After that is Goliath, and you gotta feel bad for poor Goliath. He's a number monster based on one of Yuma's most used monsters, and yet neither in the manga or anime does he ever use it. So he's already gotten spurned once before, but that doesn't stop him from helping Earth monsters get back to the hand. Even after all he's been through, he's still willing to help others. Name something more sexy than that. I found it, it's Terabyte. Get yourself a man with some good posture. After Daddy Longspine is Utopia Kaiser, the lowest of all the Utopias with a unique rank. Kaiser just doesn't seem like much. He's more a blowhard than anything. You think he's hot stuff, but when he actually tries to use his effect, it's not enough. You're in for a slightly more interesting Djinn Buster, and that's not a high bar to clear. After him is Malevolent Sin, and don't let the name deceive you. I think there's more to Malevolent Sin than meets the eye. Not nearly as big as his two brothers, which makes him a lot more approachable. His effect also lets him increase his rank by 3 when he battles. This makes him a monster that's going places, and you could be along for that ride. And next up is Fortune Tune, a pretty little birdie without a doubt, but it's held back by A, its floating effect only helps itself, which isn't very cool, and 2, it's a really weak monster, so don't expect to feel safe around it. And finally, worst of all, it's just a bird. The size difference is going to make intimacy really difficult, at best. Next is Galaxy Eye's Prime Photon Dragon. Usually a powerful monster is a turn-on for most, however, I think Prime Photon Dragon takes it just a little too far. This guy is tough. No one will sit within 3 stools of you at the bar, but at the same time, he only really has destruction on his mind. If you choose him, just make sure you're the better half. After him is Abyss Splash. Not bad by any means, but I see Abyss Splash as the type of guy that never grew out of his jock phase. This guy is really proud of his one effect, which is nice, but at the same time, he has to try a little harder to get anywhere in the real world. After him is Doom Chimera Dragon. This big furry boy is something special, let me tell ya. Gains attack based on the amount of his material. Usually bad, but he can attach them to himself. This guy is self-sufficient, he's a go-getter, and he isn't afraid to take what he wants. Honestly, pretty admirable. Next up is Ribarian Shark. And I know a couple of you out there like to party a little harder than the rest, and if you do, Ribarian is your man. He knows where to get the good stuff, like that dank rank up Magic the 7th one. Not to mention, thanks to the connection, he's friends with the overnumbers. And ignore the fact that a couple of them have already shown up on the list. I promise they're a lot cooler than they seem. After him is another denizen of the deep, Dreadnought Dreadnoid. While his effect requires a little setup to get going, he can introduce you to all the right people. If someone I met offered to introduce me to Super Quantum Mech King Great Magnus, you best be sure I'm giving them at least a shot. After him is Ronin Raccoon Sandio. How could you say no to a man in uniform? Ronin Raccoon also has a dependency on his token, but at least has the decency to help that token out. Ronin Raccoon is the type of person to lend you money if you're behind on rent and not even expect it back. Not to mention he can introduce you to the Melfi, which sounds like a lot of fun. Next up is, and follow me on this, Hope Woven Dragon Spider Shark. Sharks often have an element of danger about them, and spiders only double that. Putting them together, however, somehow ends up with a monster who has a Monster Reborn effect, which is about as good of support as support gets. Hope Woven knows how to treat you right. Up next is Gimmick Puppet of Strings. Gimmick Puppets make their second appearance, and it's with something a little more pleasing than Grinder. Strings looks a bit unstable, and his effect may be a little tough to resolve, and... You know what, never mind. I was trying to tuck myself into protecting this guy, but I can't. Put him down with Grinder. After that lackluster performance is Black Ship of Corn. Every basic girl says they love traveling, so how about a monster that is very well traveled since it's, you know, a pirate ship? Not to mention infinity-free popcorn with natural sea salt. Next up is Batlin Boxster Sarcestus. This monster is a fighter. He's headstrong and brash, but its head is totally empty. If himbos are what you're looking for, you're really gonna enjoy the Batlin Boxers. Okay, these next two seem like a really odd combo to talk about at the same time, but hear me out. Heart Earth Dragon and Masquerade are both monsters with fantastic upsides. Heart Earth keeps bringing itself back, destroys all your opponent's stuff, and protects you from damage. Masquerade is dapper as heck, has rings so potentially knows magic, and is an easy rank 4 to make. So what's the problem? One is a Dr. Faker card and the other is a Vector card. Imagine being owned by the worst people in the world. I can't imagine they don't have their stink all over them. Next up is Gimmick Puppet of Leo, the greatest, but really worst, Gimmick Puppet. Leo is regal, majestic, and rules over all the other Gimmick Puppets. The downside? His effect wins the duel by having 3 counters on him, so he's trying to rush things. Imagine after going on 3 dates, then he tries popping the question. Very good, he just needs to calm down. Next up is Titanic Moth, and this is one majestic moth. I can imagine walking with this thing in the forest and being really, really calm. Now, the less said about its effect, frankly, the better. Let's just focus on how pretty it is. After that is Greedy Saramea. Negatives include having 3 heads, which is not a turn-on, sorry. Middle wants to go on a walk in the park, right wants to go to a concert, and left, well, we don't talk about what left wants to do. But the effect more than makes up for it. No burn damage, because it can't bear to see you hurt, and destroys other monsters. Great partner, but I could see you trapping him in the friend zone. The next combo is Freezerdon and Volcanosaurus. These two are wingmen for each other, and honestly, that bro nature is pretty great. Volcanosaurus is the aggressive one. He's the one that plays basketball at the arcade and calls hoops after every single shot. He's loud and he's the life of the party, but that's not a bad thing. Freezerdon, however, is the calm guy who sits at the back of the bar. He's not looking to make his presence known or anything, he's just the friend that makes sure everyone else is having a good time. He'll give up his own overlay unit so Vulcan can keep the party alive. He's the designated driver, so if you're looking for someone with a little more stability than the wild child like Volcanosaurus, Freezerdon is your man. After that is Silent Honor Arc. It's often said that women and seamen don't mix, but I don't think that could be any less true with Silent Honor Arc. A high-ranking member of the Barian ranks, Silent Honor is versatile, and that's his best trait. He's been a linchpin in rank 4 toolboxes for years, and he's ready to be as helpful now as he was then. Next up is Draglion. If you're not into a guy with a little bit of baggage, this big dragon might not be for you. However, much like Silent Honor, he's very helpful, albeit with the drawback of being the only monster on your field when you activate his effects. 3 different effects, that is, that all benefit you and your dragons. After him is Photon Lord. The allure of a person in a high position is often intoxicating, and positions of power don't get much higher than Lord of the Galaxy. He's a protector rather than an offensive powerhouse, but his negation does make him very good at diffusing situations. After him is Heroic Champion Ronga Mainyad, and Rongo has had a tough life. For years he's been living with a massively overpowered effect, and for years he's been getting by in just fun gimmick builds. That was until Bamboozling Gossip Shadow came along and ruined his life. He's the type of guy who isn't asking for forgiveness because he knows that's something that's earned, not given. After him is Rhapsody in Berserk. Rhapsody is your rock. Rhapsody will detach 2 materials to banish cards from your opponent's graveyard, then equip itself to another monster so it gains attack. Rhapsody is the type of guy that gives you his coat so you don't walk home cold, and doesn't even ask for it back. Next up is Batlin Boxer Nova. If Star Cestus was a himbo, Nova is King Himbo. He knows how to punch good, and that's about it. What puts him above a lot of the other ones, though, is what he does. He revives as many Batlin Boxers as he has overlay units when destroyed. He's a total bro. Just don't come to him if you want intelligent conversation. After that is Master Key Beetle. And what can I say, beetles are the best insect. Not to mention, if you want someone who will make you feel safe, Key Beetle has an ability to protect monsters from card effects as long as he remains face up on the field. Key Beetle sees someone he doesn't know getting harassed at a bar and steps in. Not because he has to do anything, but because he knows it's the right thing to do. After that is Dugaris the Timeless. Someone who can time travel already has a big leg up on all potential suitors who can't time travel. But to add to that, Dugaris is one of the most used extra deck monsters at the moment. He's got a lot of pedigree. The only problem is that he's mostly used in Dark Warrior spam, so if that's a turnoff, just put him in C tier. Next up is Crooked Cook. Get yourself a man who can cook. Not that hard to decide on. After that is a controversial pick of Diamond King Crab. You might be thinking that having a crab this high up is a crime, but I'd like to introduce you to the phrase, get yourself a man who can do both. King Crab can swap between having 3,000 attack and 3,000 defense in a moment's notice. Not just that, but he's someone who marches to the beat of his own drum. When Apocaliphe 4 Towers was making this game a hammer to the gonads to play, Diamond King Crab swapping his attack allowed him to fight back. Diamond King Crab ain't nobody's fool. After him is Chronomaly Atlantis. This guy's craggy behind is something you should strive for. He's a pretty extreme guy, having life points, equipping number monsters, he's all or nothing. If you can get over the size difference, you know what the real excitement's gonna feel like. After him is the most famous number monster of them all, Utopia, the big boy. With Utopia, you somehow get stability and excitement at the same time. His effect is to protect, got good attack, and this form of Utopia is going to make sure that every need is met. However, Utopia is a secret wild child. When you get Utopia, you get Utopia Ray V, Utopia Ray Victory, Utopia Beyond, Utopia Roots, Utopia Prime, Utopia the Lightning, and fresh out of the oven, Dragon Combination Dragonic Utopia Ray. If all that variety wasn't a turn on enough, he's multilingual. After him is Dragulus the Vampiric Dragon. Vampires are hot, but a vampire dragon? Holy moly, hit the brakes, Geronimo! Dragulus is for all of you that want a goth partner, one that can revive himself in face-down defense position and send cards from the field to the graveyard. Hey, I'm not judging. I mean, he made it this high up. After that is Lancelot, Dark Knight of the Underworld. For his sake, I hope that he understands JoJo references because he's going to be getting a lot of them. Anyone up to date on their Arthurian lore would be a bit hesitant to trust someone named Lancelot when it came to love, but trust me guys, he's built differently. Direct attacker, destroys monsters, and negates back rows. If you haven't noticed, versatility is sexy as heck. We're officially in the endgame as we're moving on to the top 10 sexiest number monsters, and coming in at number 10 is Crimson Armor Shadow Ninja. Disregarding what I had said in the Lancelot piece, maybe sometimes just one simple effect is all you need. Sure, Shadow Ninja's effect to protect ninjas is a good one, but come on, who doesn't want a tall, red-headed ninja for a partner? And he protects you? Goodness gracious, what could be better than that? Surprise, there's a little extra entry before we get to the final part of the list. I was gonna catch flack one way or the other when it came to these fellas, so I'm just lumping them all together. It's the number monsters who were meant to be attractive. Mostly anime girls and the stray twink. If I'm honest, of course they'd be high up on the list, they were meant to be hot. But on the other hand, they're kind of the death of comedy. It's one thing to try to justify Burning Visor or Black Ship of Corn, justifying anime girls isn't hard and it's very creepy. So just understand that these ones are in a league of their own. So now that everybody's tuned out, we can get on to the rest of the list, and it goes to number 9, Heraldry Crest. Should this guy be in Just a Thing tier? Yes. Was I going to leave number 69 out of the top tier? Absolutely not. Coming in at number 8 is my personal favorite number monster, Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon. Tachyon is the guy you go for when you want a tough guy. Sometimes you want someone who will be your rock, someone who will be the loud one in the relationship and make you feel safe, someone who can negate all monster effects when you enter the battle phase, and I cannot stress enough that he looks cool as heck. Coming up next is number 7, Antitopia, and if even a single one of you blames me for having a type, you can go screw yourself. Take everything from Utopia and add a whole new level of cool. Antitopia might not get you home on time, but maybe that's what you need right now. I mean, I know that job's repetitive grind makes you disenfranchised, so maybe someone like Antitopia is just what you need to feel alive again. After the edgy Shadow the Hedgehog looking son of a gun, we got number 6, or rather number 77, the Seven Sins. Is it bad I don't really remember why I put this monster so high? I just looked at it and thought, naturally, that's an S tier. But I also ran it by other people and they agreed? So maybe this is a lesson. Sometimes that's what love is. Just looking into the 6 giant eyes of your disgusting spider girlfriend and seeing everything you need. Next up is number 5, Lionheart. Fitting seeing as the same guy that used Batlin Boxers used this guy, since if Nova Kaiser was King Himbo, Lionheart is Divine Himbo. He punches the best out of anybody and protects while he does it. If you disrespect his partner, Lionheart will smack you so hard you change star signs. Next up is number 4, Dragalubion. Dragalion's evolved form is even better than the first. First and foremost, it's a much prettier dragon. But not just that, his effect is only meant to help other monsters. He takes numbers out of your extra deck and summons them with a material. Old Luby wants to make sure that you meet new people, and make it a great experience too. He wants to see you branch out. Next up at number 3 is Super Dreadnought Rail Cannon Super Dora. A fan favorite number monster to be sure, Super Dora looks like it would be the beater to end all beaters, right? Wrong, racist! Dora's effect targets one monster on the field and makes it immune to card effects. Dora is actually the biggest sweetheart out of them all. Not a single number has better protection than this big howitzer. Winning the coveted silver medal is Zombie Stein. And I don't feel like there's a lot to explain here. Just look at him. But what pushes Zombie Stein to the penultimate spot is the fact that he is a gentle soul. In the Zexal manga, where he originates from, Zombie Stein loses because he can't bear to hit a woman. All that muscle belies the heart of a true gentleman. Finally, coming in at the number 1 position, it could only ever be one monster. So I present to you the most dateable number monster, number 8, Heraldic King Genome Heritage. This majestic stallion is the only one who could ever possibly hold such a high office. His long flowing locks, beautiful armor, mysterious mask, this guy looks like he came straight out of your dreams. You can imagine him being a really cool encounter in Breath of the Wild. This guy will put you on his back and gallop through the forest like a Miyazaki film. If you can't see what's attractive about this monster, that's a you problem. Congratulations on making it to the end of this stupid video. This is what happens when you can't think of what to do after about 800 subscribers fall right into your lap. What else was I supposed to do? Really. This video was still a lot of fun to make, regardless of the fact that my computer died halfway through the editing process, so it took a little longer to come out. Whoops. Comment below with which number monster you'd want to go home with, and if you think I got anything wrong. Just please don't tell me about how they reprinted Evenly Matched in the Charmer Structure deck, or how you say drinking milk is a sub-thing too. I know, I got a lot of comments about it. Thank you! I know! Also, I don't really know what to do for my next video, like I got an audience now, but I don't know what to show them. Here are some ideas for videos that I had. If you have any ideas of your own, please let me know, I'm desperate. Anyway, thank you. Bye.